Good morning everyone, Jordan here. Hope you're all well out there. Today is another sunny day here in Cambridge and I'm busy installing some downlights in somebody's living room. At the moment they've just got one single pendant and I'm going to be putting 4 recessed downlights in instead of that pendant and then relocating the pendant to a different part of the living room, and I'm going to be doing some wireless switching so that the 2 sets of lights can be switched separately. So it should be a nice little job. I'll let you know how I get on. As always, hit a thumbs up if you like my videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because I know that 68.7% of you haven't subscribed and that's not good enough. And hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future videos. Let's get into it. So we're all dust sheeted up now, and that just protects the floor and protects the furniture and everything. So this is the current situation. We've got this one light in the middle of the room and it's controlled by this one switch here. What we're going to be doing is, in this area, we're going to be installing 4 recessed LED downlights, 1 in each corner. And then the room's kind of divided into 2. So then this area is sort of like a living area. They want this pendant moved to the middle of this ceiling here somewhere. But obviously they don't want everything switched on together at once. So what we're going to do is put a wireless receiver, well 2 wireless receivers in the ceiling, these kinetic wireless receivers, and change that for a kinetic 2-gang switch so that essentially they can control that light separately to these recessed lights. And that will just enable a little bit more flexibility without having to chase down the wall and run a new switch cable into the wall, because it's a pretty solid wall. So I'm going to take this pendant down to obviously isolate the circuit first, make sure it's safe. Take the pendant down, measure up where I'm going to put the lights, and I've got to figure out in the ceiling where the joists are, which way they're going. We might have to cut some holes to go over the joists with the cables because we can't take floorboards up above, but hopefully we can keep the damage to a minimum. It just depends really where the joists are and how they go. And then based on the spacing of the joists, we're going to try to space the lights out about 80 centimetres from the wall, 800mm and 800mm this way, and then the same in the corner there, 800mm out from there, 800mm out from there, same in that corner, same in that corner. And then this pendant light will go in the middle of this section here. So it's going to go probably about here somewhere and centered with the window so that everything lines up and looks nice. So customers kindly given me a nice cup of coffee. Let me know your biscuit of choice in the comments. He has left me a box of biscuits, but I'm trying to be good and not have sugar at the moment. So I'm going to resist the temptation to eat any biscuits, but I love a good chocolate hobnob to dunk in my coffee. Let me know your preference of biscuit in the comments. So, we've got only one cable in here, so that means that it's probably a live switch. Hopefully a live switch, otherwise if there's a junction box somewhere we're going to have an issue. So I'm going to take this switch off and have a look. If it is a live switch, that's not really a problem because we can just bridge it out here so that that cable up there becomes permanent live and neutral. I should have checked this when I came to do the quote really, but new builds like this, I mean it's not new, but it's about probably, I don't know, 6 years old. They do tend to have all the cables jointed at the switch rather than at the light, which I do prefer, to be honest, and it enables a bit more flexibility when it comes to smart lighting, like because you've got a neutral at the switch you can do some kind of special things with smart lighting. Yeah, so there we go, we've got the neutrals just connected together there in a connector block. The earths or CPCs are connected together in the back of the box there. And then we've got basically 2 permanent lives, 1 in, 1 out, and then the switch live here. So we can literally just connect these 3 together, and then that will enable us to have permanent power in the ceiling to then run out from there with our 2 wireless controllers to our 2 sets of lights. And then the kinetic switch that I've got here, I will be able to just pop it on over the top of this. So it's got screw holes in the back which line up with the screw holes in the back box. So I can literally screw that on over there, and that'll look quite nice and neat. And this just push, and it creates a little bit of kinetic energy which sends a signal to the receiver. They're really good, these. They're really it's so easy to pair up. It's like really no brain stuff, and the receivers are here. You've just got 2 sets of connections in these, basically live and neutral in and live and neutral out. So this will just go up in the ceiling, and then the out cable will go to our lights. Very, very simple. So first things first, what we're going to do is just open up this. So drill a 70mm hole here, just to create enough space to put the the wireless receivers in the ceiling. And then that should give us an ability to fish either way as well and figure out which way the joists are going. I have a feeling that they go this way, in which case we're going to have to probably cut holes to go across the joists to the distance that we want to bring the downlights at. But once I cut this hole, I'll have a better idea. So I've got a 70mm hole cutter here with this thing, what's called the DADE, D-A-D-E, dust and debris eliminator, and basically it just catches the dust when you drill the hole. So it's a really handy little bit of kit for these kind of situations because it stops the dust going everywhere. It is good to have like a bin to one side or somewhere to put the dust though, because each time you cut a hole you've got the core that you need to remove, and then the dust tends to build up in this. So I've got my safety glasses on. I'm going to put this mask on as well, just because there will still be a little bit of dust that could get into my lungs, so better to be safe than sorry. The old Darth Vader mask, and then I've got to cut this in a way that I need to be careful not to damage the cable. So. Interesting. So it's got an unusual kind of net, sort of like a net mesh. I reckon they must have stapled that up to the ceiling before they boarded it to hold the insulation up out of the way, because it's got that kind of rock wool insulation. But in terms of joists and things, it looks like we might actually be able to fish over it. Yeah, okay, so it's got those metal joists. I don't know what you call them, but I can feel it looks like metal joists. So I think that's what it is anyway. There's kind of like a wooden batten along the ceiling going this way, but then there's a metal piece going up at an angle. So I'm hoping that means we can pretty much fish anywhere we want to. But I'll get my rods in the ceiling and see if that's the case or not. You will have probably seen this in previous videos if you're one of my subscribers, but this is one of my favourite tools. This is a Super Rod Mega Set, and it's an absolute lifesaver in situations like this where you've got to fish cables through an existing building, because it's so cleverly designed that it makes it really easy to fish new cables in. So these rods, they just screw onto each other. They're a metre each, and you can extend. So in the set that I've got, there's like 25 rods or something, and you've got different thicknesses and different like flexibility. So the red ones are the kind of what I would call sort of medium gauge. They're the ones that I use the most. But you do have black ones which are really thick, and you've got yellow ones which are a bit thinner. So what I'm going to do is just poke this up into the ceiling and see how far we get. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so it's looking like we're going to be able to fish straight through here without damaging, which would be amazing. That is hitting something there, but I'm not quite sure what. So what I'll do is I'll just try fishing directly that way first. So it seems like that way we are hitting something. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, we're hitting something about a metre that way. A metre's not quite enough, but it's not far off. Let's try going this way. And that way we've got, yeah, gone all the way to the wall there. Fantastic. We're going to have to just measure out the holes, hope that they don't align with any kind of joists or anything that might be in the way. Cut the holes, and then hopefully we can just fish in between. And then for going that way, I'm going to need to get a cable that way for the pendant. So let me check that as well while I'm at it. Okay, so we're about a metre in, I've hit something. So that's not going to be quite enough. That'll take us to there. We just need to go a little bit further than that. But I reckon if I go at a different angle, I'll probably get through it. I think they are those, I can't remember what you call them, but they're like structural steel joists, basically, with holes in, so like well, not even holes, like big gaps. Yeah, there's definitely something about a metre across there. So I might have to cut a hole to just fish over that. So I'm going to measure up and mark on the ceiling where I want the lights to go, and then whether we can actually get them there or not, it's going to be dependent on a few things, but at least we can try. This Pica pencil is a bit annoying. Let me know if you use Pica pencils and you've had this. Basically, I used one of the coloured leads in it, which is basically like wax crayon, and it was a really hot day and it kind of melted. And then now it's sort of sticky inside, so I can't get the lead through properly. It's a little bit annoying. So I think I'm going to have to get myself a new one, but they're not cheap. They're about like 20 quid for a set. But it's nice to have a pencil rather than using Sharpies. I used to use Sharpies, but then you can't really erase Sharpies. So 80 by 80, that's going to take us about... So for this one, because we've not got a reference point this way, I'm going to measure that one from the wall there and then measure this one out the same distance. And for that, you need a proper tape measure. So that's 235.5 from the wall. 235.5. So we'll do the same for this one. Now, it's a question of checking it with the customer to see if he's happy with these positions, and then do I just go for it and drill it and hope that we don't hit anything, or do I try and figure out if there's something behind it? It's difficult in a ceiling like this. I've got one of those stud buddy things which it's like a really powerful magnet, and you can move it around on the ceiling and it finds the screws. So technically if you find a screw, then you know that there's wood behind. So I'll probably try that. In fact, I'll try that now, just to see if there is roughly anything around there, and then if not, I'll call the customer down, get him to check the locations, and if it's okay, I'll drill the holes. So this is the stud buddy, and I'll leave a link in the description where you can get yourself one of these. Basically, I thought it was kind of black magic at first when somebody showed me about this, because I was like, how the heck can that find wood and metal? You know, like, how can it find wood? Well, it doesn't actually find the wood, it finds the screws in the wood, but by finding those screws, you know kind of where the studs are. And it's basically just got a really powerful magnet in here, and that you just sort of go like that across the ceiling until it finds it grips on something, and then that's a screw. And then if you find another screw, then you know that those are in line with each other, then you know that that's the direction of the joist, and that's kind of roughly the centre of the joists. So I'm going to give this a go here. I haven't used it very often, to be honest, but this is the kind of thing that would be a lifesaver in certain situations. So I'm going to give it a go here and see how we get on. Right, we've got a screw here. So you see that? It just sticks to the ceiling. So we have got a screw here, or something metal at least. Yeah, bang on where that hole is, that's typical. So, okay, we've got another one here. So it looks like there's actually a joist going there in that direct line. Yeah, there's another one here, look. So we can see straight away we've got a joist going there. So good job I used this, huh? That's brilliant actually, a really good little tool. So yeah, there's more screws here. Yeah, so we've got a definite line here. Now what I can do then is just shift this slightly so that we go just to the side of the joist, so we can either shift it that way or this way, depending on what the customer wants. I'm thinking probably this way is going to be better, maybe 20 centimetres. So we'll check the other ones first and see, but there's definitely a joist there. Let's see if we've got anything else here. Okay, we've got another one here, so that's like, if I measure that, it's probably like 50 centres? 60, okay, 60 centres is the joists, probably anyway. Yeah, we've got another screw here, look. Another one here. Yeah, that's great, actually, a great little tool. Right, so I've remarked these holes. So I've moved them 20 centimetres this way, the customer was happy with that. So hopefully now I can just drill and they'll be okay. I just want to double check the size of these holes actually before I drill them, because I've got a 70mm hole cutter, which I think is the right size for these JCC downlights, but always good to double check before you drill the hole. Double check the instructions. I think it's probably supposed to be like a 63 or something, but oh no, that's perfect, 70mm. So let's do this. Hey, we didn't hit anything, so that's good. There is a big thick cable there, and a 10mm bonding cable. It looks like a cooker cable, but anyway, we didn't cut it. That's a little tip for you. If you're drilling through these, don't push your drill all the way through. As soon as you get through the plasterboard, pull your drill back out, because you never quite know what's going to be above there. So, one down. Well, that's fantastic. So we've got the holes drilled, there's nothing in the way. So that stud buddy really did come to the rescue. That was a fantastic tool. I'm going to use that more often. So now, see if we can fish the cables. What I'm going to do as well is, obviously this is going to be sealed up, so I can't put the receiver there because it's not going to be accessible for maintenance. So I'm going to have to put the receivers at the downlight positions so that at least they can get to them in the future if they need to reprogram them, add any extra switches in, or just if there's any issues, they're accessible for maintenance. So I'm going to have to just basically put that cable in a maintenance-free junction box, extend it over to one of the downlights, and then from that downlight, I'll put the two receivers in one place. From one receiver, I'll go back to here, and then across to the pendant light, and then from the other receiver, I'll go to the first downlight, second downlight, third downlight, fourth downlight. So that's how it's going to work. But first things first, I just need to try and get some cables in between these downlights. Right, well, I'm struggling a bit here, to be honest. I wanted to get from that light position, well, basically to fish the cables through to here where the pendant is going to go, but I keep hitting, there's a beam here, so I've drilled it, but it's been boarded underneath the steel beam, so I'm not quite sure how to get over it really. I've tried sort of fishing at an angle, like fish that way, and then try to fish sort of this way as well, and then join up in the middle, but it's really tricky. So I'm going to stop for some lunch, sometimes just a little bit of a pause, and then think about it, and you can come up with a solution. So that's what I'm going to do. So unfortunately I've not got my little attachment with the beads, the metal beads that I usually use, because it broke and I need to order a new one. So I'm going to use this instead for here. This is the super odd cable tongue. I've not used it very often, but I think in this situation it's going to be perfect for getting, yeah, there we go, look at that, ah, fantastic. Exactly where I need to be. Brilliant. So I'm going to put a little bit of oval conduit over that just to protect the cable for when they're filling it in. So I'll slide the oval conduit, I'll cut it to the right length, slide it over the cable, and then slide the cable through on the cable tongue. So the cable tongue has got a hole in it like that. So what I can do is strip this cable back a little bit. So I pull it through like so. Thread the oval conduit on the cable first, and then I'll just thread that through like that, bend it over, and then should just pull through basically. There we go. Wunderbar. That will protect the cable so they can then fill it in again afterwards, and that'll all be fine. And then this is our position for our pendant. So I can just refix the old pendant up, and here is a joist, so I can screw it straight into the joist. So it should get a nice solid fixing, because they said they want to fit a lampshade, quite a heavy lampshade on it. Right, so I managed to get a cable between those two downlights. So all I've got to do now is get from here to that one over there. I can't get through with the rods, it keeps hitting something, but I've just stuck my hand up into this hole, and that same cooker cable that I said to you earlier about, and the 10mm earth, are also just above this hole. So I think that actually there is a route through, and it's probably just going through these steel joists. But see, if I wriggle that, I can see that other cable moving. So the super rod set has this, and I've never used this before, but I'm going to try this today. I'm going to try and hook that over the 10mm earth, right? And then attach my rod on and use this to slide the rod all the way along and through to where the 10mm earth is, just above that second hole there, right? And then, in theory, that should get me through. Let's see if it works. I never thought of using it like this before, but I think this is actually the purpose of this particular tool. Let me know in the comments. Could I open the key ring enough to get it around the 10mm earth, which is quite thick. Okay, we are on. So, let me show you that now, right? So this is over the 10mm earth. So in theory, if I push this along, it's going to follow the same path as that 10mm earth, and maybe we'll make it to the other side. I did it, it worked. That was brilliant. Awesome tool. Never would have imagined that you could do that, but that is genius. So I'm going to go to the other end now and just see if it's up above there, but lengthwise it should be, because I'm two rods depth in now. So let me see. I can see it from here already. Can you see that? Slide that back a little bit. Oh, I've actually gone too far. Here we go. Look at that. There we go. Now, question is, can I undo it? And there we have it. One rod coming in here and out there. So now I will attach my cable pulling sleeve, which is somewhere around here. Here we go. This is a genius bit of kit as well. You've probably seen me use this before. It's like one of those Chinese finger trap things, and it basically just gives constant force gripping onto the cable, so the harder you pull it, the harder it grips onto the cable. And it's absolutely brilliant for these kind of situations. And what I'm going to do with this is just tape it into the finger trap as well, because as long as you're pulling, then it's super strong. But if you push back for some reason, like for example if it gets stuck on one of the joists, and I have to push it back a little bit to free it up, then sometimes it can come loose. So I just use a bit of tape and just tape it on here. Free up a bit of loose cable. There we go. And then this is the easy part usually. There we go. All that struggling, and that's the easy part. So that's a great result. I'm really pleased with that. So now basically all the cabling is in, and the only making good that's needed is that hole there and this hole here. So it's not bad at all really. These two cables will just be connected together in a maintenance-free junction box, so I'll do that now. Then over here we've got our two receivers to go in, so we'll have the feed in, we'll loop that between the two receivers, and then the outgoing cables, we've got this one for the downlights and this one for the pendant. And then it literally loops from here to there, to there, to there, to do the downlights. So going to start getting everything connected up now. Right, so now it's time to connect these kinetic receivers. So I've got two, they're identical. So what I've done is I have just written on the back which light is which, then when it comes to programming them, I won't get confused. So I'll choose the downlighters first, and this is the feed in. So I've got to strip this back, and then it's literally just live neutral in, live neutral out. The only tricky part with these is that there's no terminal for the CPCs. So you've got to leave the CPCs a little bit longer, and then basically put them in a Wago. So I've just usually bend the CPC back like that. Then the actual length of the conductors within here is not very long, so in order to get the cord grip working properly, you've got to cut them back pretty short. So I will cut them back to it's probably about an inch from the sheath to the end of the wire, and then just strip that back. And then with this one I'm going to need a loop of cable to go from this receiver to the next one to give the permanent live and neutral to the next one as well. It's a bit fiddly when you've got 3 cables, but I mean I could do a maintenance free junction box and go out of that into this, but it's only the terminals are big enough, so it's easier to just do them all straight in and out rather than doing another junction box. There we go. So we've got 3 cables, there's plenty of room there, that will cord grip on nicely, and then I just need to connect these together with a little Wago. A 3-way should fit. So these kinetic receivers are super easy to program. This is the switch. Obviously we've got these 2 receivers, so this one's for the downlights. So I want the left hand switch to do the downlights. So what I do is just press and hold the button on the front here until it starts flashing. So it'll start flashing a little red LED. There we go, and then I press that and it programs it. And now when I press it, it turns it on and off. Simple as that. Then I'll do the same with this one, which is for the pendant. Press and hold. Red light starts flashing. Press that and it's programmed. Now that turns the pendant light on and off. Easy as that. And then when you want to reset them, to reprogram them or add an extra switch, you just press and hold that and it deletes the program. So it's dead easy. Right, so I've reconfigured this slightly because I'd forgotten to connect the actual downlight, so I've got these 2 now, everything going through this junction box. So I've just got to push all this up neatly into the ceiling. I need to put a cable tie on there to make that maintenance free. So that's it, we have light. And pretty happy with the result. I'm glad I managed to get things in without too much damage to the ceiling, so that was really satisfying. And it's much brighter in this room now. Recessed LED downlights are definitely the way forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If you have, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel because I do post videos here very regularly, all about the life of an electrician. And if you hit the notification bell, then you won't miss out on future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.